Being excited for something is awesome. Being excited for something is dope. You should have something to be excited about. One thing for me is Carolina basketball is coming back. I'm a diehard Tar Heel basketball fan. I'll always be. Win or lose, I don't care. Fuck you. Heels all the way, baby. It's the beginning of October. Getting ready to have a first preseason game. Anyway. Tar! Yeah! I digress. We should all have something that we look forward to. It could be a little thing, a big thing. It shouldn't matter. Have something to look forward to each week. Have a week set aside. That's one thing my wife and I do. Is Thursday nights, when this show releases, I'm there. I'm ready. And I have been sitting, having my own night, undisturbed. On Thursdays. My wife has Wednesdays to do what she wants to do. I think it's important as parents and as people to have that kind of you time. You time is important. This is a question I'm going to start asking every guest is, what have you found in recovery after your 3 years or before 3 years or whatever, like a new hobby, a new passion, new skill you've taught yourself? Those things are important. You know, something that you can do and the whole world just disappears. Everything else just blacks out. You're focused on it. You can analyze everything that's going on in your life to show that the cup is half full. And if it's not half full, and if it is half empty, these new trades, skills, hobbies, or whatever kind of help you through that to make that cup half full again. It's a question I'm going to start asking. Anyway, go Heels. Episode 15, landmark episode. This is part 2 of Chad and Caitlyn. Episode 15 is with Caitlyn. Like I said, I enjoyed talking to both of these people. Both of them, it's almost like they're not two completely different people. They just have different ways of, just like every other married couple, dealing with each other's pros, cons, flaws, talents. These two, I think, make a beautiful couple, and I really do. I'm rooting for them and to have a beautiful life. Here's episode 15 with Caitlyn.
Could it be it's almost over? Feel like it's only just begun. It seems the air is getting colder. Never thought I would stumble, let you down. If only I could wash away, leave a new horizon. If only for a moment, only for today. If only you could hear me, I'd find the words to say. Everything.
Are you a big Taylor fan?
We're huge Swifties.
Yeah?
Huge.
When you say we.
Me and Layla, and then Chad by default, but he won't claim it.
Right. Well, no, I won't either.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he's got to be living with us. He's he pretends like he doesn't like her, but by this point he knows her whole discography just from osmosis. So like he's got to like her to some degree.
Tilly's not into Taylor yet. She loves Wrecking Ball, Fireworks.
Why do they love that song so much?
I don't know. All I can imagine is her naked ass going on Wrecking Ball.
That's what I see whenever Layla's like, play Wrecking Ball. Like,
I've tried to get her more into like, she knows all the lyrics to Whoop, There It Is.
oh, perfect.
Yeah. So I'm getting her more into like the...
Layla really loves Zach Bryan, which I'm like, okay, this works.
I would like to get her more. Like my 13-year-old loves the same like punk rock stuff I do.
Awesome.
This is really a nice house. You were worried so much about a mess, but I can tell that you were one of those, are you one of those people that stress yourself out in order to be focused?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm very big on like, one of my biggest defects is like how I'm perceived. Right?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Big time. Appearance, you know, of how my house looks and, you know, how other people think of me. That's the character defect that trips me out more than most.
I wonder why. So it's somebody you didn't think much of. Somebody you didn't think much of were like, that Caitlyn, she is such a scallywag. You'd be like, oh, I gotta change that person, or
Yeah, like I have to convince them that I'm a good person. And it's definitely from a place of insecurity and low self-esteem, which is something I've been working on. But in recovery, once you start getting things back, I want more of everything. And
Yeah.
Chad is the same way. Like he's on Zillow looking up 6-bedroom houses, like we need to move. And we have to kind of check each other to be
we're
like,
addicts,
exactly.
inanimate objects.
Right, exactly. Give me more stuff to put in that hole. And like, I'm that way with everything, really.
What is your clean date?
1221. It's a palindrome, which I love. Isn't that cool?
Good job.
Yeah. So 1221.
What was January 21st like?
So it's January 2nd, 2021. So January 1st, I think we were flying dope sick from Vegas to Wilmington or to Charlotte. And then we got a ride to Wilmington to get into WTC. I think we had like $5 in our bank account. And so on the way, once we got to Wilmington, we picked up stuff because we had been clean because we had been in a rehab in Vegas.
Ooh, that's not why you go to Vegas.
No, I've been to rehab there twice now, and I don't know what I am thinking going there for rehab, but it's...
Where are you from?
I'm originally from, I was born in Raleigh, but I was raised in Lake Norman,
Okay.
right outside of Charlotte, north of Charlotte.
Okay.
So Huntersville, and then my parents lived in Mooresville for a while. Chad and I lived in Cornelius, Kannapolis, all in that area. But I've been in Wilmington since 2012.
Okay. All right. It's pretty cool. So you were flying back.
Yeah, from Vegas. They kicked us out because it was December 31st. Our insurance, like whatever happens with insurance happened. And they're like, unless you pay us $4,000 each today, we're going to have to send you home, basically.
Yeah.
And we didn't have anything to our name. And it's a miracle we even got home. One of the patients at that rehab paid for our plane tickets home. And then we connected with, do you know Chad Lyon?
Sounds familiar.
He's an incredible person. We credit him for saving our lives because he helped us get back and get into WTC. And we had nothing. I mean, we had nothing. And he was just like, come home. We'll make it happen, you know? And he's an incredible...
Who was your counselor in WTC?
Which time? I've been to...
Small group.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember the name of mine.
Okay. What year? I've been 5 times to WTC alone.
It was 2017.
Okay. I went in 2016.
He was a tall guy, kind of had curly kind of hair, kind of a hippie dude. He wasn't that old, kind of had like a soul patch, kind of, maybe a beard.
I always had Chris, who he is a phenomenal human being.
Wasn't him. I think they were friends though. Like he listened to a lot of.
Was it Mitch?
Mitch was.
Mitch was already the counseling director or whatever.
Yeah, he was already a director then.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name, man, but that guy was amazing for me.
Yeah.
Like, I was there for 29 days, and everybody I knew had already left.
Yep.
I had already made an impact and, kind of gotten off entertaining everybody because that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
Buried some hatches because there was some people from my past that showed up in rehab.
Oh, isn't that
never
fun?
wanted to see again.
Don't you love that?
Yeah, it's fucking
Happens
sucked.
every time.
And then on that 28th day, I have amazing insurance for my job.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, we're going to keep you here.
Yeah,
until
of course. Yeah.
And
That's how it goes.
I'm like, man, the curriculum's resetting.
Yeah.
I kind of want to go. He goes, no, you need to go.
Yeah.
So let's get on the phone with your
Good.
dad and your job and make sure you're good. And he helped me get out of there.
Yeah. Did you do like a recovery house or anything afterwards?
No, I was really lucky.
Yeah.
So I went in the morning I went into WTC. I woke up in my backyard. Long story. Car was totaled. My two best friends came over and they're like, we're not doing this anymore, dude.
Yeah.
So I called my parents who had no idea that I even drank.
Billy.
Yeah. Let them know what was going on. Because I lived in tour buses forever.
Right.
So they never really,
Yeah.
I didn't hang around them
Right.
that much.
Because you did comedy.
Yeah.
Back.
Back
then
day
even.
and then touring with bands and artists off Broadway shows for lighting design and stuff.
Oh, fun.
So it was like, anyway, I called them I called the first treatment center that came up in Yelp, which was WTC. Called them. They had a bed for me at 5, and I went straight there.
That's awesome.
My boss at the time for the company I still work with set me up with Sedgwick to have me paid the whole time I was there. Set me up with some sort of insurance benefit. So I think I paid $250 for rehab totally. I got out. I went right back to my apartment. My parents had moved one of my best friends in.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then I came out with 2 full paychecks.
Yeah.
And just started working.
Yeah, that's incredible.
We don't worry about that. This
it's authentic.
Yeah,
it's all my house.
It's authentic.
Like. Well, if you're at my house, you'll hear screaming in general. So
I like it that way.
Yeah, I mean I'm uncomfortable in like a silent, calm setting because I'm like, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah. So you came down from Vegas, which just still blows my fucking mind.
So, and let me interject here because I was a low bottom addict in every sense of the word. And when I say I came from rehab, I was a chronic relapser. So I'm going to tell you how many times I went to rehab, which was 18. So I started going to rehab at the age of 18. And then I didn't get clean and sober until the age of 32. So I was and I went to rehabs all over Tennessee, like everywhere. And it started with my initial struggles were eating disorders, which I strongly believe is just a different manifestation of addiction. It's obsession and compulsion to its core. So when I started struggling, I was in college. I went to UNC Chapel Hill, and I started struggling with eating disorders. And my parents are amazing. They're incredible. They're my biggest supporters. And their journey is really interesting too, because they started out enabling, and then figured out over the years that didn't work. Then they got help.
Yeah.
And once they cut me off and did the tough love thing is when I was finally allowed to reach bottom, because they were robbing me of the consequences that were required of me to change, really.
Yeah.
But so in the beginning, they would send me off to rehabs. They would ship me away to a place that was expensive and looked really good and say, okay, y'all take care of her for 30 days, send her back to us fixed. And they did that over and over again. And as my disease progressed, I'm like a perfect example of the progression of addiction because started out with eating disorders, alcohol, a little bit of alcohol, cocaine, maybe dabbling in some pills. I moved to Florida, moved to California. It was always for a rehab, and then I would get clean there, decide to stay there. I would relapse there, burn all the bridges there, and then have to run. Like that was my pattern for years, and that's what I did best. And like I was so afraid for years, I didn't take accountability of anything I did. I let my parents come in and clean it up behind me, and then I would start over in a new city where nobody knew me.
So they were financially stable enough to do this.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so, but I know, if I were to try to make financial amends to them, it's impossible because
nothing
I will never make. Yeah, exactly. Like I will. And they don't want that anyways. You know?
Right. Mine the same way.
Yeah.
Like I took thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of just, I can't pay rent this month. All right, here's a couple grand, and it would be gone the next day.
Exactly. And same with my in-laws are just the most incredible people too. And I strongly believe if it weren't for my parents and my in-laws, I wouldn't be sitting here. There's no way. But that comes kind of later in my story. But yeah, so I started with the cocaine and the drinking, and parents started shipping me off to rehab for that. And then I would move somewhere else. And then when I got to California, I was living in Southern California, and I was finally introduced to opiates, right?
Oh, cool. Finally.
So, finally. Exactly. Because I had done the whole... literally. Because I did the whole stimulants. I thought I was an uppers person, right? And I was doing the cocaine, I was smoking crack, all that stuff. And then I found opiates, and I was like, oh, that's the feeling. That was the feeling that I thought I had been searching for my entire life. With all the stuff I tried to fill that hole with, with the eating disorders to try and change the way I felt about myself, with all the other substances, once I tried opiates, I was like, oh, this is it. Like, this is all I need to live life and be okay with myself is to do opiates every single day. Which
it's amazing on how many times I hear that from people who covered the whole gambit. Of every DOC changed every month.
Yes.
And then it's always like, oh, I found a home.
Yep. That's how it felt. It's a warm, fuzzy blanket. And I was like, this is all I need to function in the world, and as long as I have access to this, I'll be okay. And it took me to my knees. And then I flew out my parents came out. They saw the state I was in. I admitted to them I needed help. and they flew me to another rehab in Tennessee. While I was in Tennessee, this was 2012, the counselor there said, there's this place in Wilmington, we think you should go. And I was like, I want to go back to Southern California. My parents were like, no, that's too far from us. Like, we need to have some, and my brother was still out in California. He still kind of is. He's stuck in the West Coast.
Is he an addict?
I don't want to take his inventory.
Right. I got you.
It touched. Yeah.
Enough said.
So yeah, he has his own story, but he's not like me.
Gotcha.
I'm the only one in my family that's like gotten this bad.
Right.
But addiction is all over my family. Like
Right.
the disease of alcoholism is all in my family, and I never knew that. So like when I started going to rehabs, we would do like assessments, and my parents would be with me, my mom would be with me, and they were like, any addiction or alcoholism in your family? And my mom would be like, no.
Oh, yeah.
So, right? So, like, I was like, oh, something is deeply wrong with me. Like, this is, this came out of nowhere. And then later I find out, oh, it's everywhere.
Do you really think that she knew, or do you think that it was more of her kind of coping to think that it just didn't exist, or she just didn't acknowledge it?
I don't think, my mom has learned a lot about addiction.
Yeah.
So now she is so aware, she can pinpoint exactly where it is in the family tree. But I think at that time, my behaviors and my consequences were so in your face and so obvious. And maybe, like a grandfather who has struggled with drinking his whole life, but he still works a job. He still supports a family, stuff like that, where the consequences aren't so obvious, and they're not so all over the place. That's easier to be like, no, he just liked to drink. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's easier to do
so
that.
I think my mom is more aware now of, everywhere it is. And there's been much more that has happened since then too in my family unit to see like, oh, okay, so Caitlyn's not the only one.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I moved to Wilmington and lived in a great recovery house here. That was 12 years ago. Met Chad Thompson.
And where did you meet him? Which
Which
hotel? Which lovely resort did you meet your husband?
We actually met at an NA meeting. And we were both living in Launchpad, which is a wonderful recovery program here that's been around forever.
I heard nothing but good things.
Yeah, it was Wayne Ray. He's R.I.P. He was an amazing man that did so much for this recovery community.
Yeah.
His wife Lori, also amazing, just great people. And so we both, he lived in a men's house, I lived in a women's house. And so the way I remember it was like I knew he liked me, but he never like came out and I don't know. He had a bowl cut at the time. So I think that's what did it. Ask him about the bowl cut because
Chad
had a bowl
about the bowl cut?
Yeah.
Is that what did it for you?
You
loved the bowl cut?
No, I think it was the opposite. I was like, cut your hair and then we'll talk. You know what I mean? Like,
okay. No, I understand.
But it was
that never got me the ladies back today either.
I mean, it was like, okay, you should. It's he was handsome then, he's handsome now, but he he was real sweet, and I think at that time who I didn't want sweet, I wanted toxic. So that's what I went out and found,
Of course,
yeah. And so I was in a relationship on and off for 5 years with somebody, and we were terrible for each other. We were just terrible. And so I don't want to say he introduced me, but he is the first person. We relapsed together.
Right.
And I shot heroin for the first time.
Right.
And that was another one of those feelings like, oh, okay, so this is even better, and this is the way to do it. And this is all I need,
You want to hear something funny?
Yeah.
I've never seen heroin before.
Really?
Yeah, I've just never. I had friends that would do it.
Yeah.
I had artists I worked for that would do it. I just never did. Like I was all about pills, alcohol, weed, and if the blow was around, I didn't ever buy it. But if it was around, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But like, no, it's like I never like when people and like I had a friend. God rest her soul, who like relapsed 6 months into my sobriety. She was supposed, because I went to NA, and she was supposed to hand me my 6-month key tag. And then I went there that morning. She wasn't there, and I called, and then it happened to be like I forgot who told me about it, but it was the most weirdest place.
Oh my God.
That I heard that she passed, and like they found her in a hotel, and then it turned out the owner of Dead Crow, who picked up people and worked for the morgue, was the one that picked her up. And he told me, he was like, yeah, he didn't. She was there for a while, dude.
Oh my God.
Like it was like,
yeah.
So that right there, like it was always one of those things of like, I don't know the world, but I know the world.
Yes,
but I don't,
exactly. Right.
but I still talk to my kids because I'm very open.
Yes,
with my kids.
I think that's the key.
And anyway, I'm sorry. I digress. So you met him.
I met him, and then I was like, no, you're too nice and sweet, and you got a bowl cut, and sorry.
That was fine.
Hi, baby. Hi, sweetness.
You want to come sit with mommy?
Hey, Chad.
Oh, she's fun.
Daddy.
I love the realness.
Hey, I mean, this is... Hey. Hi.
What are you doing? Did you have fun with Miss Robin? And Dada? Good. Her hair grows so fast.
She's got a mullet.
Tilly's hair, honey, what time did Tilly's hair actually grow?
Yeah, that's what they do. Yeah. She's got the most, I mean, that mullet is majestic right here.
Fantastic.
I know.
People pay a lot of money for
Yeah.
that.
It's, I mean, that's why I constantly put it in pigtails.
We're talking about you.
Yeah. I wanted to, I want to send a picture to Ellie and be like, hey, my baby is trying to copy your style.
For a minute, okay?
You know? Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, no.
We need a quick
You
hug.
kiss? Oh, she's gonna latch. She's gonna latch. Oh, she's so strong. Okay, bye-bye.
Go upstairs.
Bye-bye. She's my mama's girl.
I love that woman so much.
God, she's incredible.
She is, dude. Like,
How'd you land her?
I don't fucking know. like it was this thing of like, I think it was the right time in my life.
Yeah.
Like, cause I embraced humility to be the biggest strength that I have.
yeah.
And until this day.
That first year sobriety, humility, there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
Nothing like
But I
it.
also, I never said that I wasn't ever going to drink again. I'll say it now.
Right.
Because
Right.
my daughter will fucking never know that side of me.
Absolutely.
You know?
It's the best.
But I don't know, man. Like, we met, and it was weird because, I mean, I'm not gonna say I was being a fuck boy, but I was like, I wasn't really for a full relationship.
Right.
I wanted to
You had
see,
intentions of being a
like
fuckboy.
I wanted to see if I could still woo.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to see
Like
if
a
I could,
challenge.
and it made me happy, and it was better than hooking up for me to take someone out on the date, show them a very nice gentlemanly time,
Yep.
and then them be like, hey, why haven't you asked me?
Right.
I'd be like,
Yeah, that's like the drug. You know what I mean?
It
The
was.
chase. Absolutely.
and then with her, like I went like 6 months without talking to anybody, and then we met on that damn app, and I wasn't thinking anything of it. And then we met, and we hung out. I'm like, yeah, she's really cool. I can
Yeah.
talk to her. I was like, I've never. I mean, there's been sure, I've done the dishes when I didn't,
Right.
but there's never been like a lie.
Yeah.
Not like
That's incredible.
there's been the little fibbers that I'm always feel guilty about.
Right.
Like guilt.
Yeah.
When it comes to
that
not
conscience.
being transparent with her. And our whole relationship has been 100% transparent.
That's awesome.
Like, I don't remember what it was. I did something shitty to, someone at the bank gave me like a 50 instead of a 5.
Oh, wow.
And I left with it. 'Cause
Yeah.
I was broke.
Yeah, you're like, this is
This is
God's will,
fine.
clearly.
I went home and I told her about it. She was like, well, that person's going to get in trouble.
Oh,
And about
man.
20 minutes went into it, I was like, got my keys.
Yep,
went
you're like,
back. And she just makes me a better man and
Yep.
the best version of myself that I never thought that I could reach.
Right. That's incredible.
Yeah. And she's an amazing mom.
Yeah.
Like, that's where it's like, actually, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
'Cause we're going to start the questions here because I don't really focus too much on every.
Yeah.
aspect
No.
of it.
The important part you needed to get to was that in 2016, Chad and I both walked into WTC,
Mhm.
right? And this was my trillionth time and his trillionth time. And we saw each other, and I was like, Chad Thompson. He'd gotten rid of the bowl cut. We reconnected. We started dating. And that's where the story really starts for me because all the other stuff before that is background noise. But that 2016, we both were clean and sober and we started dating, quickly got pregnant with Layla, my oldest. We were both living in halfway houses at the time. And then we decided we bought our first house. We got engaged, had Layla, like eventually got married, big wedding, big honeymoon. Life was great. Life got too good too fast when I look back on this.
Yeah.
Too good too fast. I didn't work for a lot of that. Like a lot of that stuff, like I wasn't doing step work. I didn't have a sponsor. You know what I mean? I wasn't looking inward. I was just reaping the benefits of not putting drugs and alcohol in my body.
Yeah.
That's it.
You were seeing what could happen if you didn't use.
Exactly.
And then,
but I didn't realize the maintenance portion of that and like what I needed to do, you know, with service step work, like to actually maintain that. And what I was experiencing was just happiness. It wasn't joy, peace, and contentment by any means. It was just like good things happening to me. So of course I was happy.
yeah.
And so and like back when I was really using hard, those 5 years with that ex, all those terrible consequences came true. All those yets, right? Like things I never thought I would do, you know, living in hotels on Market Street, being on the streets, all that, and getting arrested, doing things for drugs and all the stuff that I said, oh, I'll never be that bad. All that came true. Overdoses, all that stuff. But that rock bottom for me doesn't touch the rock bottom that happened after I relapsed as a mom.
When was that?
So Chad and I moved to Charlotte.
Hate you app. Sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. Chad and I moved to Charlotte because we had the opportunity to open a branch of his company that he was working for at the time.
Nice.
Which was exciting. But we didn't know what we were doing. We were so ill prepared and we had no solid recovery. So we moved, and at this point we had decided we could socially drink, right? Because we were parents now, we were homeowners, we were business owners. We were like, we both used to be heroin addicts, but like now we're normal functioning members of society.
Right.
Like I said, no program behind either one of us, none. All our recovery ties we had kind of pushed away. So we're in Charlotte, living near my parents, but one thing led to another. The crazy thing about the alcohol is that we did do it successfully for a little while. And that really kind of tripped us up because we were like, oh, like we must have outgrown addiction, you know, which is so silly looking back on, you know, but
it's
like
easy to think though.
It is. It really is. And I was like, oh, we can do this. We would go to neighborhood barbecues with other parents and we would have a couple drinks. We'd go for walks around the neighborhood with our alcohol. And like, we were like, oh, we're doing it. You know, look at us.
Now, how long before you knew it? Before was it that you had a drink in your hand all the time?
It never got like that. But what happened was one night we had enough alcohol in us. Hi. Bye. Love you. I love you. Can you go find Daddy or Miss Robin? Okay, can you put your shoes on and go outside? I love you.
We're almost done talking.
Yeah. And I'll come play with you, okay? I love you.
You're such a pretty young lady. You make some beautiful babies.
I know, gosh.
Good job.
Right? There's two things I've done really right in this world.
Yeah.
Both of them.
You make great babies.
Yeah.
Robin does too. Like all three of her kids are just gorgeous human beings.
No. Isn't that great?
She got pissed.
Yeah. She's like, I can't be involved because she's the star of the show.
Right.
She's the star of the show all the time.
Too.
Yeah. So she's like, you're doing something that I'm not the focus of.
Yeah.
Why
Now
would
I've had enough people over at the house till he knows when these are up.
Yeah.
Like she's
to-
even learned how to stay out of camera view somehow.
Wow. I don't teach her because she doesn't.
Oh, it's fine.
Cameras on.
It's fine. So you in Charlotte, you guys, how long was it before you?
Chad might be better about the timeline, but we had been there for some months before substances came back into the picture. And once that was reintroduced, it was the quickest downward spiral and it was terrible. It was awful. And it was the first time Chad and I, other than the alcohol, that we like used together. And we went from being husband and wife to using buddies that hated each other.
Yeah.
It was so dark. It was terrible. I was a mom. And before this, I judged other moms. When I heard moms relapse, I'm like, how could you put your child in that situation? Like, you must not love your kid enough. Like, that was my thought process.
Well, I mean, it's a natural thought process.
Like, is your kid, and I remember like other people saying this to me, like, you love drugs more than your kid. And I'm like, and now I understand that was never the issue. I have a disease that I failed to maintain.
Right.
And so that disease resurfaced, you know, and it was dark and I always say this, I'm so grateful and so lucky that my parents and my in-laws loved their granddaughter, Layla, and loved us enough to remove her from that situation so she would no longer have to watch her parents kill themselves.
That's good.
Because that's what was happening. And I was so ashamed. You know, when you're struggling in recovery, when you're not a parent or whatever, you can call somebody up and be like, man, I'm struggling. Like I'm drinking again. I'm doing, and they'll be like, go to a meeting, you know, do this. When you're a mom, if I called my best friend and said, you know, I'm doing this every day, her first call would probably be to CPS.
If it was, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. You can't really trust anybody to make a
exactly
sponsors type call. On
right,
that one.
right. But that's what, because the care of my child and the safety of my child should have always been the number one priority. And people that love my child, it will be. And I had to come to terms with the fact that, like, I was not a safe person for my child to be around.
Right.
And that broke me. But it also is what ultimately saved me. And I'm not one of those people who's like, my child saved my life. I don't think that, but I was a chronic relapser. I needed something that would eventually be big enough and worth saving my own life for.
Yeah.
And losing my child was that catalyst.
People also don't realize on how, and especially if they don't have kids,
There you go.
They have no fucking clue how hard it is and stressful it is.
Gosh.
Like there have been so many, like when my mom was diagnosed, I so blessed I had Robin, because that would have taken me out.
Yeah.
You know? And I always said losing one of my parents would be what would take me out.
That's one of my
It's not
things.
going to be the thing anymore. Like
Incredible.
I can happily say that. Like,
Yeah.
It would not be. I would have to lose them
Right.
for me to lose me.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
But people don't realize, especially as a mom, as a new mom, people do not realize how serious anything postpartum is.
God, that was
How demanding on the psyche being a new mom is.
absolutely
Us dads, we ain't gotta do shit.
right.
Really? I mean, I had like 15 seconds to
Yeah.
do with making Tilly.
Yeah.
Like, I don't,
Yep.
and I'm not even giving myself credit, yo. Like, it was a quick lunch. Next thing I know,
Yeah.
like it was, and it was unexpected.
Yep.
And that moment changed my life. And I didn't even know up till she was born. Anyway, I digress. The main point is people don't realize
Right.
the stress that goes through a new mom's mind.
Yeah.
And especially if you have a disease going
Yes.
with that.
And it's untreated.
Holy fuck, man.
I was out of my mind, literally.
Yeah. So which one of you picked up first?
I don't remember. I want to say him, I think, because he was around guys at work and everything. Like I was at home with a baby all the time. I wasn't exposed to any of that. I think it's him. He will have more clarification.
Right.
I think it was him. This time, a lot of it I've kind of stuffed down and buried. And it's interesting when I look back at it, I don't remember actually living it. I look back and it's like a movie of somebody else's life.
Right.
Because I don't remember that girl, that woman, that mom. I don't remember her. I don't identify with her anymore because she was so broken and so lost and so alone. And now I'm none of those things, you know?
Right.
So it's like, it's hard to really reconcile who I am today with who I was then and feel like they are the same person,
Yeah.
you know?
Makes sense.
But it spiraled out of control. We lost everything so quick. And we were right back where I was, years ago, but worse because now there was a child in the mix, and that child, the love of my life, the other half of my heart was taken out of my care. And I knew that I not deserved that, but I knew that I didn't deserve to be with my child. And there's a lot of stuff happened in that time. I started having seizures, just straight overdosing and seizures. And Chad overdosed. A lot of really traumatic shit happened in this time frame, a lot of it. But ultimately what happened is I think we were living in a hotel at the time somewhere in downtown Charlotte, and we were like, this has got to end. And it's like we were just waiting for one or both of us to die because that was the end game if we kept going.
Yeah.
And it could have happened any of those days. And at that point, the pain of being without Layla was so great that I was just like, okay. And that was the moment of surrender, was in that hotel room when I was like, I don't care where I go, what I do. Somebody tell me what to do. I'd never really reached that point of surrender. I had been battling this thing since I was 18 years old. This was 32. So like I always wanted to get clean or sober on my own terms, you know? Okay, but I have to have a doctor that'll let me still take Adderall, you know? Okay, but I'm still going to drink on the weekends, you know?
Right.
Okay, but I have to live with this boyfriend, you know, like just
Do you
putting.
still take Adderall?
Gosh, no.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I just started back. Like,
Really?
6
I didn't
months
need
ago.
it. I got it prescribed. I doctor shopped until I could get it prescribed.
Oh,
to
yeah,
me.
no.
You know what I mean? I didn't.
I totally, they gave me benzos, they gave me everything when I was drinking.
Yeah,
Like I had the trifecta.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I went off of it for like 3 years and then realized that like different started but unfinished tasks
Right.
all over the house that she was getting fed up with.
Sounds like somebody I know.
And I'm like, I've gotta finish this.
Yeah.
Like, and so I went back, found a doctor. Well,
Yeah.
first got a therapist, which I've always seen, and a psychiatrist that gives you the drugs. And
Yep.
he was like, yes, let's try this. Let's
Yeah.
try this. And then we found one that worked.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, thank God.
Thank God. Yeah, that's a game changer for people.
Mm-hmm.
Chad is the perfect example of untreated, undiagnosed, unmedicated ADHD. But it's
Oh, we are the worst if we're not
it's
treated.
so
It is so annoying. It's annoying to me if
the
I don't have it.
hyperfixations, the projects, I'm about to have, our parents are coming, let's get the house ready. And he's like reshingling the shed out there or something. I'm like, that is the last thing I need you to be doing right now. Like, why are you focused on like the back of the closet? How there's like you know what I mean? Like, let's task at hand, babe, And so I kind of redirect him a lot.
And when was it that you finally like, where y'all were like, okay, this is enough?
The end of 2020.
Yeah.
And that's when we started just calling around. And, I don't know if you've, when you're Googling treatment centers and stuff and you're calling, and we found this one in Vegas. I had actually previously been to this. And so I remembered it. And I remember that they flew me out there. And during all this time, obviously my parents came in and got Layla. My parents and Chad's parents, they're really close friends, which is so
nice.
Cool. We take family vacations together every year with all of us. They got together and they made like a game plan, but my parents had gotten help to learn how to stop enabling. And like that was the best thing they could have done for themselves and for me.
Right.
Because they stopped cleaning up my mess. They stopped creating that soft landing spot for me. And then they were like, you're on your own. They stopped saying, call us when you want to get clean. We'll set up everything. And they started saying, call us when you are clean and then we'll talk.
Right.
And that was such a big turning point in my journey and for them because they could start healing, and so once there was a child involved, they removed Layla and then they were like, y'all are on your own, we basically both of my in-laws and parents basically washed their hands of both of us and said, y'all can go kill yourselves if that's what you want to do because that's what it looks like, but you're not going to do it around Layla,
right?
And so yeah, the end of 2020, we're like, this is, and I remember Chad looking at me. This was mid 2020, and we were actively doing our thing, and he looked at me and he was like, if we don't stop this, we'll be divorced within a year. And I remember that moment so vividly, and I was like, yeah, you're probably right. And then we went back to what we were doing. Like we were just resolved that this was going to be the end of us, and I'm so grateful. But it took a lot of work, which is where the 2021 comes in. This is the first time I truly surrendered, and I had to be okay with like, okay, I'm going to do whatever it takes to earn the title of mom back. I will do anything. I will do everything. I'm going to listen to somebody that knows more than me about staying sober because obviously I don't know shit because I've been trying to do this for a long time.
Right.
And I haven't gotten it because I always thought I knew, I was a little smarter than most people in the room.
Well, yeah,
we're like
really
those
young.
people, they need to work the 12 steps, but I need to work just like 1, 3, and 7, I'm good. So this was the time when I was like, that was when God truly gave me the gift of desperation. And I really experienced what that was like. And it was the most painful yet freeing feeling ever in my life. Cause I was like, I get to hand this all to God now. I don't get to try and control, fix, because in my hands, my life is a mess. My life is a complete mess. But there was so much freedom in just letting go, and being like, I don't got this, nothing. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to stay clean and sober. And like, I either wanted to die right then or I wanted to get and stay clean and sober. And so I knew it was going to go one of those two ways. And so that first year, we ended up back in Wilmington and we both went I'll just speak about me. I went into a recovery house, and I didn't know if Chad was going to do the same thing I was or not. I had to be okay and have acceptance, and
Now, how was WTC with
as a married couple?
Yeah.
So,
Because I remember there was a married couple there with us, and they had to keep it quiet. Of course, they couldn't.
Right. We are friends with some people that work there.
Gotcha.
So we got, we were, but they generally is not a thing they do. But we did that, and then, and it was great because we did a few sessions of like marriage counseling there. And we were able to like talk to Layla over the phone and stuff like that. And so then when we got out for a year, we lived separately. So it was so weird because I was a married mother living in a recovery house with a bunch of women, apart from my husband, apart from my daughter, for a whole year. But like that year changed everything.
Yeah.
That's the year that we did individual counseling, we did marriage counseling, we did kind of like a family reunification thing where we would talk to Layla and then, talk to, parents and everything. So everyone was involved in the process. I started working steps, that was the first time, Billy. I had been exposed to the rooms of AA and NA at age 18. I didn't truly work a step until I was 32, which is just crazy, but I was so stubborn. And this is the first time where it's like, I need it. I gotta give it my all. So I started working steps, and I had an incredible sponsor.
Other side. She
is.
That's good though.
Yeah, and that
You
changed
still have
my
the
life.
same sponsor?
Yeah, she's
Cool.
the best. She's the best. She is pretty awesome. And I saw somebody who, she walked the walk and talked the talk, and she had this peace about her that I was like, that's what I want. That's what I want.
Very cool.
Layla, can you go play with Daddy? Or Miss Robin? I don't know where you're from. She's like, why would I do that? Where's Tilly? Okay, can you go play with Tilly, please? All right, Layla.
I'm hungry.
That's terrific. We'll get you a snack in just a second. Just go grab something out of the snack closet real quick. Bring something for Tilly, please. Some Cheez-Its or Goldfish or whatever.
No, I hear so many people talk about I never had a sponsor.
Yeah.
I had one for like a little bit.
Right.
I still haven't done the steps.
Yeah.
I just it was totally me being in my own way.
Right.
It still is.
Yeah.
I'm stubborn. I'm arrogant. But I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
absolutely.
I kind of feel like that one is my
Yeah.
sponsor.
Yeah, exactly.
And I hate to put that on her.
No, right. But I get,
But
and I firmly believe there's no one path to recovery. And like everybody has different needs as far as, do you need to work a program? Do you need to, there's so many different paths to recovery. And I don't think there's one straight answer that applies to everybody. Like my recovery and my husband's recovery look very different.
yeah.
And at first I thought that was a problem. I thought because I'm involved in AA and I'm doing this stuff and now I'm sponsoring women that like he should be doing the same thing. And like at first we were both working steps, and I was like, we were on our 4th step at the same time, and I ended up writing like 200 plus pages on my 4th step. And I was like, how many pages was your 4th step? And I think he said like 10 or something. And I was like just horrified.
Women go through it way more
Yeah.
intricately than we do.
Absolutely.
And that's a general thing that I hear.
Yeah.
Like,
That is.
if you ask a woman, how many pages did you write? What did you do?
Yeah.
Oh, man, it was like a novel.
Yeah.
Ask a dude, he was like, it was a couple paragraphs.
Yes,
man.
exactly.
Like,
My 5th step took almost 9 hours,
holy shit.
Yeah.
I don't,
My poor sponsor. Sorry, Karen. Love you. But yeah, I've kind of learned, instead of stressing about that now, I know what he's doing works for him because I see the results. I know what I'm doing works for me because I see the results.
I think what we're going to do is I'm going to kind of ask you the last 2 questions
Yep.
of the individual stuff.
Uh-huh.
So when you all come together,
Sure. Then we can talk more.
then you can talk about how you got it back together. I think
Perfect.
that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
What is one characteristic that you still have now that from when you were using that pops up and you're just like, oh, fuck, there she is.
Oh, God.
And how do you tame that back down or cope with that characteristic?
I'm still very much an obsessive person. I will obsess over anything and everything. And it comes in waves. Like I can look over the past almost 4 years and see, I put the drugs and alcohol down, and yes, I've done incredible work with my steps and everything, but like I still, and now I have the awareness of it too. So it makes it worse because I'm like, oh, I'm being obsessive and compulsive with this behavior or with this food or with this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like phone games, right? Or like Instagram reels or whatever it is. I got really obsessed with just like silly things that I become very over invested in. I spend too much time on. Like right now I'm still struggling with online shopping. That's
my big one.
God, and Chad, every time he's like, we need to, save money. And I'm like, yes, we absolutely do. And then he walks out the door and I'm like, online shopping. Like, because it's those things that give me the quick dopamine hits, And like, if I find something that feels good, I'm going to do it. And like, if I don't think it through, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to do it and I'm not going to consider the long-term consequences. Now, these are much more low risk behaviors than like shooting dope, of course.
Right,
you know what I mean? And so that's why my mind kind of doesn't give it as much thought, because I don't think about drugs and alcohol anymore. I don't, that's not something that my mind is focused on. And so, but my brain like subconsciously still searches for ways to make me feel good.
Oh yeah.
There's
always going to be something.
Yeah. So working out is I'm probably in some degree, form, or fashion addicted to the gym, but I love it, and I'm healthy, for one of the first times in my life, and so that's definitely I have to keep the obsessiveness in check, and the main way I do that is just being honest about it. Call my sponsor and I'm like, hey, I'm spending too much money. Hey, like I am. And stuff like the gym can definitely get me into trouble because it can become unhealthy because I have that past. And so I have to like really keep that in check. Really just anything that makes me feel good, I have to really examine my motives and intentions behind it.
Right.
And say, am I doing this? If I'm online shopping, am I buying this stuff because we really need it as a household? Or am I doing it to make myself feel good and like fill some sort of void that I could and should be filling with something else.
Did you watch Tony's episode?
Not all of it, no. But I loved
the part where he was talking about what he does because he has that online or the shopping. Like, he gives himself like 5 or 7 days of do I need this?
Keep it in your cart.
7 days,
if he's like,
you still have to have it. And
brilliant.
Like he was like, it's stopped me from buying so many like random stuff.
Right.
He says it way better, of course.
Right. Everything Tony says.
He is so damn cool.
God.
So to cope with that, do you kind of just chill out with it, or do you have to talk to about it?
Yeah, I talked to my sponsor about it. I have an amazing network of women, with people like Meredith and Sarah, and my best friends. So some of my best friends aren't in recovery, but they still are incredible people. And like telling on myself really works a lot because it's like I'm getting it out there. I'm being honest and transparent about, and so now you can kind of keep me accountable a little. You know what I mean? And I know that they might ask, "How are you doing with this?" And I'm gonna have to give them an answer, but I find that when I am more like in conscious contact with my higher power, I'm less obsessive. When I am more in service, I'm less obsessive. So like all these defects are less likely to come up when I'm taking care of my recovery and my spiritual condition, know? So like the healthier I am over there, the less likely I am to be relying on these defects and things to give me that, dopamine hit, So it's just kind of like I counter it. I spend more time praying, daily meditations, reading my recovery readings. If I spend more time in that stuff, then I'm less likely to just do these unhealthy obsessive behaviors.
Right.
So, but sometimes the unhealthy obsessive behaviors feel so good that I'm like, I don't want to do that stuff because I'm really liking it over here. But then they have consequences, whether that's spending too much money that we should be saving for something else or feeling guilty, feeling ashamed.
Thinking about your whole life. Because, you just kind of like you having a huge dream about a big old, whatever, it lasts 5 seconds. We can think about our lives that same amount of time. One day I'll phrase that fucking intro to the question better, but I like it. So what are you thinking about your whole entire life until right this moment? What are you the most proud of?
It's easy and hard because I say being a mom, but fighting and surviving enough to reclaim that title and really deserve it.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Because there's not one without the other.
Right, exactly. And so, I'm not going to say recovery and sobriety or just my kids because they are one and the same for me. I would have never had Ivy, my second. I would have never gotten to be the mom that Layla deserves. I would have never. It goes hand in hand. And so, like, the fact that I truly surrendered and fought to come back to her, and to come back to my husband, my marriage, my family, that is what I'm the most proud of because I tried to do that for so many years and fell on my face every time. So that is without a doubt what I'm most proud of.
That's a great one. I had a feeling you were gonna go towards that one, but you put it in way better words than I would have.
Thanks.
Off where I've been like, it's there. But I'm very, very thoroughly and kind of got to think about it from the outside perspective. I just met you today.
Yeah.
I think I've seen you around,
Yeah.
but I don't remember.
Right.
I'm not good with people, names, faces. You got it pretty well.
Yeah.
And it must be a really good feeling to wake up in the morning to be all the different places that you've been and this is
my life.
Yeah.
I'm incredibly humbled and grateful because like that January 1st, 2021, Chad and I had nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. I mean, nothing. And so everything we've built was from that day on. And so it's like we got a late start in life than a lot of our peers, like non-addicts and alcoholics. And so sometimes I'll do the comparison game and I'm like, well, I'm not as far as this girl I went to high school with and her, you know what I mean? But like, this is a dream, that I'm alive. I get to be a mom, I get to do the work that I do. I get to be a stay-at-home mom and I get to work. Like that's super cool. So in an industry that I love, and I get to be present and sober and my kids will never have to see me. Layla has no memory of that time.
That's good.
And that is such God's grace right there. Because that was one of my fears. But she has no memory of it, and one day we'll tell her more about why she went and stayed at CCM Pop-Ups for she doesn't know it was a year.
Or why she needs to be more careful.
Exactly. That's one of the things we're going to be very open with her about.
Yeah,
so.
it's got to, man. Like I already see some little I'm like,
exactly. I know. I'm like, oh, there it is. There it is.
Yeah,
for sure.
It is. I'm very, just meeting you today. I'm very, very happy for you.
Thank you,
and
Billy.
inspired by you too.
Thank you so much.
And this is dope as hell.
Yeah.
I'm glad we decided to do it. And we're going to be here for more for you too, because there's so much more I want to do with you and your husband.
Yeah.
And I think this is a winner. But for your episode here, I appreciate you.
Thanks, Billy.
You made my day.
Awesome. You
And
made
thank
my
you so
day.
much.
Thanks.
Only for a moment.